Page 6 now, the desperate Democrat attempt to salvage touchy-feely Joe. Nancy Pelosi is offering some advice, as hard as it is to decipher, to undeclared presidential candidate Joe Biden.
I do think this about communication in general, beyond this. I'm a member of the Straight Arm Club. I mean, I'm a straight armor. And all of this. Just pretend you have a cold and I have a cold. But what I think that it's important for the Vice President and others to understand is it isn't what you intended, it's how it was received. And that's generally about communication in general. If people don't think they're being communicated with, even in your marriage, if your spouse doesn't think you're communicating, you ain't communicating, even if you think, but I did this and I did that. And so yeah, it's how it is received. So to say, I'm sorry that you were offended is not an apology. I'm sorry I invaded your space, but not I'm sorry you were offended.
The problem is, Nancy, Joe is Joe. He's been doing his creepy thing so long, it's as much part of his makeup as his hair plugs. Neither is appealing. Joining me now from Reston, Virginia, from the Media Research Center, Director of MRC-TV, Eric Scheiner. Eric, coming to mind right now is that infamous shot of the daughter of Chris Coons when he's sworn in by the then Vice President Joe Biden. This infamous shot, I think you know what I'm talking about. Why is this shocking to anyone? If anyone's been paying attention, old Joe has been, well, creeping around like this for decades.
Hey, Google creepy Uncle Joe, look at videos. There's a ton of them out there. The incident that you mentioned, plenty of others. The one with Ash Carter. Stephanie Carter is Ash Carter's wife when he was getting sworn in. That's a famous one. There's tons of them. This is a sense of Joe being Joe, but here's the question. Can you be an old school kind of politician these days and survive in the current Democratic Party? I mean, Nancy has something right when she says, I approach people, give them the straight arm, I pretend I have a cold and they have a cold. I would approach Nancy like she's carrying some kind of sickness, probably anyways. So that's not surprising, but you know, here's a guy that may announce a presidential campaign. Yeah. How is he going to campaign if he has to go against every natural instinct? This is something that is kind of prevalent in the history of Joe Biden. Yeah, there's certainly, like you said, you can Google it and see the record is pretty crystal clear. And he's got another strike against him. He happens to be a white male. And so, well, he'll survive. They'll close ranks around this guy. He'll survive. The mainstream media will blow off the story. We'll talk about it, laugh about it. But in the end, he'll be right there in the middle of the race in 2020.